So with all the stuff going on, you know, the fiscal markets and money markets, everything I'm talking about, don't just happen to real estate and residential real estate. They also happen to commercial real estate. And can we show that article? So look at what's happening in commercial real estate. Commercial real estate, yeah, check this out. From the Wall Street Journal, thank you very much, Wall Street Journal. I'm not showing the whole article, we're showing a headline. And it's an article that just came out from the Journal. There is a $300 million office tower that is mostly empty that they're looking for offers on, and they think that they may get sub $100 million for this thing. They're thinking it could be an 80%. 80% of 300 million, you know, is 24. 24 off 300, 240 off 300 is 60. They're looking at thinking it's probably going to be sub 185 range, but it could be all the way down at 60. And this is on California Street. And if you know anything about California Street in San Francisco, it's a beautiful street. There's a lot of great buildings on there. This isn't off to the side in some little alcove. This isn't a nice area, but it shows you what's happening to commercial real estate. Commercial real estate market is in trouble. In trouble. If you are paying attention, there are areas of this nation where there are 2- and 3-story office buildings being torn down, and very neat, orderly, 1-story, warehouse-oriented buildings are being put in their place. Warehouse space and warehouse orientation, like you own a flooring company and you have a few trucks and you store all your flooring, you need a warehouse, but you want a nice warehouse, nice area of town. You don't want your trucks vandalized. Guess what? That kind of stuff, if you're in that business, you're enjoying a bit of a heyday. But what's happening in commercial real estate on the big shiny buildings, we're in trouble. No less than Charlie Munger, 99-year-old Charlie Munger yesterday made a comment in advance of the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. He said, listen, there's a lot of bad paper out there putting pressure on banks, and there's also a credit crunch. And so if you're in the big shiny class 1 office building business right now, times are kind of tough. So see, it's not just residential real estate, everything gets affected. Well, who is moving into those buildings? Who's renting space in those buildings? A lot of new companies and expanding companies. If we're having a recession, well, that means companies are not necessarily expanding. And if we're having, you know, a credit crunch, means that there's less money out there to be flowing around to even startups. So check this out. Give me the startup chart, the multicolored chart. Okay, and let's see the title of this. So we can see the title of that. I guess we can't see the title of it. Up above. Yep. Well, this is the number of mergers between startup companies. So this is a startup company, 2 to 3 years old, doing pretty well, identifies a smaller startup that's doing something similar, and they want to bring the technology or the companies together. This is very common. Some people call it the Pac-Man effect, where the middle-sized companies buy up a couple of the small companies, acquire their teams. If you're just getting a team in technology, sometimes that's called an acqui-hire. Well, take a look at what's going on here. This is pretty heavy duty. It went from 137 deals in Q4 of last year to, 30 deals this year. This is crazy. But what it's showing is that what's happening right now in terms of just financial availability is also happening to startups. So the market's getting crushed. So there's sometimes a small startup looks for a middle-sized startup to go merge with because they got good technology, they got something together, they're making it work, and they really want to join with the big one to come together, and then they have the teams come together. Well, this shows you that's a normal thing. That is a normal thing that happens in a healthy market. Absolutely normal. Well, guess what? It's not happening right now because there is a credit crunch and there is less money being invested quarter to quarter in venture. And if I'm that middle-sized startup, I need to raise another round of financing so that I can go buy that small startup with their 10 people, pay a couple $1,000,000 for it and get that technology. I don't have the money to do that. That's what's happening right now. And so I think that's also a sign of the looming recession, which means that if you're a mid-sized startup, and there's a message for all of us, you know, right now is the time to be working on keeping your balance sheet as strong as you can, being very careful about each new hire you make, being very careful about when you're going to have to go out and get financing. Because let me give you an example. What if your startup, you say, hey, I'm a technology startup and I'm worth $50 million. And I'm going to go out and get 10 million. Well, 10 and 50 is 60. And so then the investor would get 10 on 60, or about 16, 17% of your company. But what happens if the valuations are also compressed in a tough market? And they say, I'm sorry, I only think your valuation is 40, but I'll give you the 10. Well, 10 on 40 is 50, so 10 on 50 is 20%. They would get 20% of your money, 20% of your company. So go from 16% to 20%. It all adds up. So you'd have to give up more of your company. And at smaller valuations and bigger amounts of money needed, it just gets worse. You can find in a tough market, if you're a great company, you can find people that'll say, look, I'll give you 60 so that you can go 2 years, but I'm not going to, but it's not 50. This is going to be 35. It's a 35 million valuation. I'll give you the 50. And then they've got 20 on 55. So suddenly they've got, you know, a huge percent of your company. But that is just the facts of life. So now is the time to not need big money if you can't prove that through EBITDA and other traction that you are really in position and you're growing your value. If you're still pre-EBITDA, this is a time where you're going to see valuations pinched and it's going to be a tougher time raising money.